How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of City Skylines with me, CityZilla, and in this episode we are going to be doing our first expansion. I got quite a bit of good feedback from the last episode. I really appreciate the comments. I definitely put a little bit of time into this, and so I did want to focus on some quality of life issues like paths and then upgrading some of these roads and just general things that you can do early on in the game to help with traffic and to kind of lay a good foundation for the city as you expand. And so, first off, what I want to do is actually go through and place down paths. We had neglected it on the last episode, and unfortunately, we are going to have to demolish a bunch of stuff. This is why I'm usually pretty big on not zoning these little squares, but I had just completely forgotten about it, and so it was my mistake. And as a result, these homes are going to have to be demolished, which isn't ideal, but it's for the greater good, and so I think it could be justified. It's kind of a weird little lumpy bumpy thing right here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy, and then let's see if we can get something a little better. We might just leave this empty. You know what? I mean, that's okay. I think maybe we just won't connect up the sides. I think having the little down part going in is kind of a little weird, but it'd probably be steps, and so I think it could be justified. And so let's go ahead and, so we got that, we got this one. Let's put one right here too. The goal of this is to make a really walkable area. Alright, so I think that's pretty good. I went ahead and put them through the commercial areas as well, and then basically what I did was I just completed a lot of the incomplete grid network with the path network, and this was really big on my last series where I went over how if you just make it a little easier for people to walk, then a lot of times people will choose that. And so I definitely am happy that we created some alternative routes for people, and so ideally people, and especially like right here, they can just walk over to this little shopping center, and so it makes it really nice. You see this in real life too, where you have green belts and stuff that lead into commercial areas, and it just really promotes people to walk more. And so the next thing I want to do is go through and upgrade some of our roads. We have some collector roads in here that are still dirt roads, and it just isn't really conducive to handling future growth or higher traffic levels. And so one of the things I wanted to do, any of these connections for here, I wanted to upgrade. And what I'm using is just a small 4-lane road. It is a modded road, and so if you're playing without mods, this is a road that you can't get, but it is something that you see in real life. It's just a small, no median 4-lane road. It handles a little bit higher of traffic, especially connecting to these higher lane roads that we're probably going to end up upgrading to 6-lane once our city expands. And so the goal is to just come through here and basically I'm going to turn these little squares into them, and then any of these connections, so probably these little districts right here, since they are connected to this road, and then probably this as well. The reason, because these are routes, and so we would want people to be able to get to these outer squares pretty easily. And I think we will end up creating bigger lane roads, like maybe 4 or 6 lane that go around, just so that we can create alternative routes rather than people going through the neighborhood. And that's really what you want to try to avoid, especially with all these intersections. When you have low density residential, having this many intersections isn't the end of the world, but you really have to prevent people from using it as shortcuts. And so alright, and so I think that is pretty much it. It's real basic right now. I just did the 4 lanes all the way around, and it's, again, to prevent people from cutting through the neighborhoods. And then I think what we're going to do, first off, we need to purchase a square, and because the rail line is over here, I think this square is probably our best bet. And then it kind of leans towards a better residential expansion as well. But then what we're going to do is come in here, and I think, yeah, we're going to end up cutting these back. And it kind of sucks because we just upgraded a couple of those, but I feel like it's necessary, and so we will come in here to our nice little 4-lane road, and I want to create a space. I'm thinking maybe, yeah, probably would be better if we could be 5 away, because then we could do 4. I don't like that bending, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Yeah, there you go. And the reason I did 5 away is so that we can do 4x4 commercial on the inside without worrying about the zoning going on the residential side, which is really what we don't want. And there we go. And then this is going to be basically our first main arterial. We're not going to have a ton of connections to this guy, and it's basically for anybody who's trying to travel longer distance. So anybody who's trying to maybe come over, we're going to make a freeway connection. They don't have to mess with the neighborhood at all. And so people only come in here when they need to. And that's also one of the things that you can do to prevent traffic. Because a lot of times with regular grids, there's just too many connections. And what happens is traffic ends up cutting through. And that's really what you want to try and avoid. And it's kind of funny. This is from real world examples. Like, we drive around everywhere, and a lot of times we end up having to take shortcuts through neighborhoods, and a lot of times you see a ton of cars doing it, and it's just a mismatch with what the road was designed for. And the reason I'm adding this connection is because you don't want to just have one connection right now. This is a huge bottleneck, and so having multiple highway connections is really important in managing traffic. And so I normally do freeway connections pretty early on. And I end up having to make it a little bit shorter on this side just because of the barrier. Otherwise, I would have made it a little bit longer like this. I think having those short on-ramps isn't really conducive to good lane mathematics. It really helps to have more space to give people to get up to speed or to have to merge or whatever. So we definitely will have to fix that as we expand. And while we're at it, so we have our first little arterial road, and we'll end up upgrading that to a 6-lane. And then I think for this guy, what we're going to do, I think we're going to turn this into a bridge. We could turn this one into a bridge. This is much lower than I was hoping. I think I'm going to raise this up. I didn't realize how low this was. Hey, you know what? That's a little better. We still do have a little bit of bumpiness, but I think it is much better. Yeah, there we go. And so what I was thinking is we will turn this into a bridge, since we don't really want to connect it up to this other higher volume road just yet. And I think it's going to be really good because it's going to provide more of a shortcut. And so we can actually continue on this road. Yeah, there we go. And so now anybody who is trying to get over here can. And then I think we will add in just a couple connections. So we got these ones down here. But I think it would be smart to maybe do one like right here, and then we will add this one right here as well. And then I think we will leave these ones empty for now. So if anybody is in this neighborhood and they need to come over here, they can still cut through this little guy. I think that's a little, it just looks off. And then on this side, what we can do now is actually add in some shopping. I think this would be a nice little feature for this area. And I could do little bridges, but somebody had commented on my last series about them just being really expensive, and so I want to try to be a little more realistic in this game, though it's not always easy. It is a game, but having those bridges everywhere wouldn't be super realistic, and so I think this is going to be good right here. And then one of the things I want to do is create another connection down here, and then we're going to beef up our farming area, as this is still pretty key. We're making some pretty good money, about 10,000 a week, but we still want to make a little more if we can. And so I think we will come down here. And then for this one, because it is an industrial area that we're feeding into, I'm going to do the 2 lanes. And then I'm just going to go into Traffic Manager and set these guys up, put them as yield signs for right now. If it does become a little crazier, we might need to change those to lights. But I think for right now, that's probably good. And then I normally go through and switch these to 4 lanes, but because we are such a small city, I don't think it's absolutely necessary right now. And then we will end up at some point come through and delete this, but I think what we're going to do is do a bridge over and create a whole area like how we had created these connections. And so I think for right now we'll leave that like that. And one of the things we do really need is some residential, and so we are going to expand this guy out. And I think we're going to follow the same methodology. And I did want to add in some like a unique building or something at this point, but we really don't have a ton of access to any great ones at the moment. For some reason I play online and offline, and I think it resets a lot of my unique buildings. It's super weird. Like in the last series I didn't have some of these available, but now like the Grand Mall is available, and then some of the ones that we did have available aren't available anymore. And so like construct water treatment plant. I mean, some of these are super easy, and so 10,000 squares of office space built. I mean, in the last series we did more than this. For some reason it's just locked again, and so maybe we'll add in the Grand Mall or something a little bit smaller though. But I think as we expand we'll probably add in some stuff, and we do have the European assets in here as well, which are kind of cool, like the department store or the shopping center. So I think what we're going to designate is an area for a park. I'm thinking probably this area right here. I think it would end up being good. And so first off though, we need to come in here, and since we had the 4-lane roads around the outside, I think we're going to follow that same kind of idea. And I do want to be at the same distance. So yeah, it was 5, so right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll come down, do a crossover, and then of course this side is not going to reach, which we already knew beforehand, but 2, 3, 4. Maybe we'll do, you know what, I mean, it reaches 3, so I mean, that's not terrible, and having this little area right up next to the water would kind of be nice. Maybe we can do some paths or something right there. It would actually maybe be smarter to cut it in a little more, because then we could do a park right there. So I think like that's 2 by 2. Yeah, I think that's good, because then we can just go 2 in and then 2 up, and then turn this into a nice little park area on the waterfront, which I think would be a really nice feature. And so we do have commercial on the outsides, but I think we'll end up following that same kind of idea that we did on the last one. And so we'll go like that, and then I do want to do some park areas. So we have the path right there, which would be really nice to continue on right here. So I think what we're going to do first off is go back to our regular road. Go like this. Go like this. I really liked having these little park areas. That's why I'm going to kind of follow it. So go like this. You know, because we have that right there, maybe we'll actually just leave that like that. Yeah, you know what? I think that's going to be good. And then we'll just go like this, and then we'll cut this across. We could have continued using the dirt roads right here, but we'll go like that. I could cut it down right there, which it would give us even zoning. Maybe I just don't like having those connections that close, but I guess it's not the end of the world, because we do have some really close connections right here too. I'm just going to do some water pipes real quick. And there we go. We've got a nice little residential expansion. And we probably will end up curbing this little road right here. It'd be nice to put it on that outside, but I think having this area, turning this area into a park would be really nice. A lot of times with big cities, especially next to water like this, they do large parks, and I just think they look really nice. They're a nice feature to have within cities. And so we'll come in here and just go like this. And then we're going to pause it because we want to make sure that we do the paths first before we end up demolishing a ton of homes. Which it is in the name of progress, but there would be a ton of homeowners that would just be really upset about it. Like, come on, man, you're demolishing my home for a path. In real life, I don't think it would fly. I'm pretty sure people would just be rioting or really upset over it. I don't know if they'd be rioting, but they'd definitely be going to a little town hall. Like, are you guys kidding me right now? We've been living here for 2 months. And here we go. Yeah, you know what? I think that looks pretty good. And we could... I mean... No, you know what? I think we'll just do a connection right here. And then we'll follow this guy over. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Kind of wish it was more symmetrical. Maybe we'll go back over there and line it up like on this side. Yeah, you know what? I think that would be a little more realistic. That one path is the one that's not in the correct location, so... Yeah, there you go. And blah, blah, blah. And we could add one right here, too, since the path is right there. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. I do want to come back through here, though, and clean up the ones that I have, like, right there. This guy, that guy. Just because I think building on top of paths probably isn't super realistic, though. I wouldn't be surprised if it was somewhere people had that. You never know with cities. As cities expand, people just kind of build in wherever they can sometimes. Yep. Oh, and we missed this side. We'll add one right here too, since the road is right there. The idea is to get people to walk more. And so by having them at these little T intersections, it makes it so that people can continue on and cars can't, which is really great. And so let's come in here and we're going to go ahead and go like that. And then I think what we're going to do as well is continue on this side and do the little 4x. We'll go like that. Just because I think having this shopping right here is really good, especially on the main road, and then with great pedestrian access like we have, just really lends to some nice pedestrian areas. And so I want to do 2 elementaries for this area. Oop. It's because as we expand, yeah, it's going to be for this whole area. And so we have a high school right there. We could put a high school and a library right here, turn this into a nice little area. I think that would actually be really nice. So let's see about putting in the high school first. I think if we go, let's see about putting in a park on the corner. And then we'll do the high school on one side and then the library on the other. You know what? I think that looks great. I like having the park right in the middle too. And then we can do some paths around it. Just to create more pedestrian access. That's really what we're going for. I'm trying to make it accessible and enjoyable for people. And then I think we are going to turn this into a park. I don't know if maybe we could turn this whole, it'd be a really big park, but I think this would be nice because then we could actually add in some unique buildings, like maybe some historical kind of buildings that we could say have been there, like maybe this huge palace, city hall or something. I think that would just be really nice. So we got our main road here, we got access, we don't have access to the big road from this street. So So I think what we'll do, we will come over here, extend this guy out. Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, there we go. And then we could do another bridge, or we could just leave it like that for now. And then I think we'll do that. And then let's come up here. I think we will do that. And I think for right now, we'll probably just leave that like that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So we got connections down here. We can deposit, start making a little bit more money, which, and we're really making some good money now. But we can have this area grow in and hopefully get rid of some of our demand. I think I'm going to upgrade these other ones to these tree-lined roads. I like those 3 lanes. 3-lane, tree-lined. Just looks really pretty. Having these roads actually helps to bump up the land value a little bit. Yep. Looks like we messed this one up. Yeah, look at that. Just be a nice little boulevard to kind of come into the city too, or this area too. Especially with all the shopping and everything. This would end up being a really nice area. And it kind of looks like we could end up doing something cool right here. I think we will make this connection though. But this area right here looks like we could maybe turn this actually into a tunnel instead of a bridge. Because then we could... I could put a unique building right there. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If we should just leave this like this, or turn this into a tunnel, or just put in some zoning or something. But I think for right now we'll probably leave that like that. And I did want to expand upon our farming area, just because early on we really want to focus on making money, and this would be a big part of it. And so I want to go like this. And I think we're going to come down here and then make this connection. Yeah, you know what? I think that would be ideal. So then we got 2 3-ways. We added some nice little connections in there. And then I think this is going to allow us to put in 2. 1, 2. Yeah, you know what? I think we can fit in. We'll fit in a little 1U road in the middle. Because then we can get them both facing away from the street, which I think is really important. Yeah, there you go. Then this way we can just up our production so that we can start making even more money, especially as we start upgrading a lot of our roads. We're going to have some of those issues. And it looks like, you know what, we're going to start having some trash issues. Let's go ahead. So we got some abandonment issues due to not enough workers, and so I think it would be smart for us to maybe demolish some of these, and then we'll put in a couple more recycle centers just so we can up our processing capacity. Yeah, there you go. And then that way, now this one will start to empty, and hopefully we can catch that at 50% because it's literally just going to empty over here. Though I think some of them may empty to the recycle centers, but I think that's going to give us a nice little buffer. Yeah, not enough workers. So now, I mean, we built that whole area, so we should begin to start seeing a little more workers over here, but we'll see, because we're going to expand this farming area, and so this may just mess the whole thing up. So we'll come in here, and I want to... Yeah, look at that. And then I think we'll be able to come in here. Oh, nice, Boomtown. Or Busy Town. And this doesn't... So oil, tourism specialization, which is nice. I don't think we're going to mess with that for a while. A ton of policies. Mainly roads. I mean, roads are a big one. And then a bunch of various assets. Trolley buses, which is cool. Sightseeing tour bus, which I think is a little too early for us. But then city planning policies, which are important. But I think for right now, we're probably good. That went down pretty far. I'm going to come back in here. And yeah, there you go. And voila. Let's just do some water real quick. You know what? That's a lot better. It's still a little bumpy, but you see crops like this on hills a lot, and so I don't think it's the end of the world. And then I like that we put the little road in the middle, and I think this is just going to really help to increase production. And so let's go ahead over here and see now. I mean, we're almost to level 5, which is great. And so we can do these now that we have a little bit more money. We'll do the improved logistics. Actually, we'll do all 3. It does increase the cost, but it helps to make, like, the logistics helps with trucks so that the trucks don't just drive around aimlessly. Oh, look. Did we... Oh, we need more water. Oh, nice. So we could just put in... I think if we split up the water towers a little bit, be a little more realistic. Because a lot of times you see these water towers in more rural areas or residential. You kind of see them spread out throughout the whole city. I think for this guy, we'll just put that right there. Yeah, and there we go. Man, we're going to really... We should start making some pretty good money now. What is this? So, not enough buyers for products. This should... Bounce. I mean, I think it just means we need to make more production. And so, we got flour mills. I think we'll do a couple more flour mills. And then we could put... I think we'll do flour mills in here. It would have been smart to put them in there. I think by having those there, it kind of hurt us a little bit, but we'll see if we can add 2 in here. Yeah, there you go. Maybe we'll see if we can do the same over here. So I think, yeah, you know what? I think that looks pretty good. It does mess with our symmetry a little bit, but I think having these here kind of messed it all up. I don't think there's a whole lot we can do. But I think by adding in... Because what's going on over here? Man, what's going on with our crops? We should be getting... Where is our... So we got our barns right there. We got a barn right here. Barn right there. Why are these not getting shipments? What's going on? Did we mess up something? So they got this road right here. Got all this production. Man, there's no shipments. What's going on? I think maybe by adding in that whole area, it kind of messed up the deliveries for a second. But it should balance out here. This is weird. Normally when this happens, there's like a misconnection in the road, but all of our roads are still connected. We didn't really mess with anything over here. We did add in these barns, but I think because it's unbalanced, it should still ship these out. That's so interesting. I'm guessing it just has to do with a glitch that I'm experiencing with one of these, maybe. Okay, so I had to play around with it for a little bit, and I think it had to do with our animal products warehouse. Because this road was a little too close to this freeway, I think it was causing a glitch where the trucks actually were trying to get onto the freeway, and so it actually wasn't allowing trucks to make deliveries here, which was kind of cascading into the rest of it. Super weird. I haven't experienced that before, and so basically locked up the whole system. I ended up deleting this row of crops because maybe I was like, we have a shortage of workers, as you can see over here, and so maybe that's the key, is we just don't have enough residents to deal with the increased demand of the crop fields, and so they're not showing up in trucks. And so it did end up fixing some of the issues. I honestly don't know if deleting those did anything, but as you can see, these are filling up now, and none of these are at max, and so they are able to take crop deliveries, because now they can take animal product deliveries, and even the flower ones were kind of doing it too. The whole thing was kind of weird. I did end up turning on improved logistics again, but I think for right now we're just going to leave that like that. But we do need to have another small residential expansion, and so I think on the next episode we will either begin to expand on this one or this area. And so if you guys could let me know what you want to do with this middle section, or whether we should expand this way towards the train tracks, or whether we should fill in this little area, or maybe even jump right across the river. I had received a suggestion to do a dam, and I think it's just a great idea. I think we're going to end up, once we unlock the dam, At, I believe 10,000. Yeah, 10,000. We will work on that, and it's gonna be twofold. It's gonna give us a ton of electricity in an eco-minded way, which is great, renewable energy. But then it's also going to increase the water level on this, which is going to really work in our favor for us doing fairy lines. We do have fairy lines unlocked already, um, but we don't really have too far of a destination just yet, and so I think we're gonna hold off on that. But I think this looks really good. I like the layout that we started doing. Let me know in the suggestions in the comments below if you guys like how this layout ended up turning out. This wasn't initially part of my plan, but I think by having these roads on the outside, it really increases um, the maneuverability of the city. And then, so I think we will end up expanding this area on the next episode. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions, and I will catch you on the next one.